All right, I'm 2 years, 7 months, and 10 days sober, and yes, I do believe that's very important to keep track. Most of us who are on this journey use an app, or one, there's a bunch of apps, but use an app to mark how long we've been sober, and I definitely do that. I love that. 2 years, 7 months. I could not believe that I could even go a good solid 24 hours, to be honest with you. So, title, what surprised me the most after getting sober? Well, let's be very clear. I didn't know what to expect. 2 years and 7 months ago, I walked into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was a broken man, very sick mentally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of it. And I didn't know what to expect. I knew AA had been around for a long time. Turns out it was about 85 years, 90 years, something like that. And then I knew it was all over the place, but I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I had messed around with it about 6 years prior, played with it for about 5 months. I went to one meeting a week, so I didn't know what it was about. But because I never really got real sobriety, when I walked in 2.5 years ago, I didn't know what to expect because nothing has ever worked for me before. All I knew was I could not stop drinking on my own. So one of the biggest things, I guess, that really sticks out is when I first started to clear up. That's one of the biggest surprises, was the amount of clarity that I had, that I was not numbing myself any longer. I had to get, before I had any type of recovery, for any of that to take effect, I had to clear all these toxins, this toxic fluid out of my system and have my brain. Now, I have heard that it takes about, for every year that you're out there abusing yourself, it takes about 4 months for the neuro pathways to grow back in your brain. So I figured that out with my 25 years of drinking. That works out to be about 8 years. So I figure I have about 5.5 more years before I'm just mentally back to where I should be. But once the alcohol started to get out of my system and I started just to become more clear-headed, the clear-headed did lead to clarity. And that was probably the biggest. I started seeing things clearer. Another surprise was emotions that have to do with emotions. I was going to say when emotions come back, but that's not really right. Emotions were always there, but alcohol always amplified. In my case, emotions were amplified on alcohol, which means I was drinking every day starting at 7 a.m. So all day long and all night, every day, for many, many years, I would, when I got mad, I was really mad. When I got happy, I was really happy. When I was sad, I was really sad. It was like bigger. Everything was bigger. The sadness was greater. The anger was greater. I was screaming more. I was crying more. I remember, and this was because I was beating myself up all the time. I remember there was always these couple of songs that would come on my playlist, and they happened to be Christian songs, and I would bawl, tears running down my face. Never fails. It never failed. Tears rolling down my face onto my chest, because deep down inside I knew my life was a dumpster fire, and I was screwing up. I was getting up in age. I got sober at 55, and I just was falling apart, and I knew God was there. I knew it, but I was running. I was a rebel. So emotions didn't come back, but in my case, they were amplified. Now being sober and also in recovery, there's two big distinctions there. Add to those emotions love. Love is now amplified in my life. I really, it's kind of like the Grinch. You know, you saw the movie The Grinch, and then at the end of the movie when everybody's back in his lair and they're having the beast and all that, and they're talking about how his heart grew 3 sizes. I kind of feel like that. You know, I feel like I feel like I just have more love in my heart for other people when I didn't even love myself, you know, for many, many years. Another surprise was how much my mind started to quiet down. You know, most people think that, you know, when they drink alcohol, you know, it's going to slow your thoughts down, it's going to kind of make you chill. Well, but the truth is it made mine louder. There was a ton playing up here. The machines were whirling all the time, and it was basically self-sabotage. You know, I was constantly in a perpetual state of beating myself up because you had the guilt, you had the regret, you had the shame of knowing, because I know this, I shouldn't be doing this. Normal people don't drink 50 shots of vodka every day. You know, normal people don't drink 50 shots of vodka in a 6-month period of time, and I was doing it daily. Normal people don't do this. So there was a tremendous amount of regret and shame and fear, and all this is going on in my mind constantly. Not to mention mind wandering, you know, not wandering, but whirling, going crazy. I'd wake up in the mornings and just scared to death at what I did the night before because I just didn't know. I really wasn't a blackout drinker, but I would go for, you know, wide awake. I would black out, not physically, but large patches I would just not remember. And I'd wake up a lot of mornings and just racing to my phone, wondering who and what I texted the night before. Man, that right there is something I am so glad that I don't have to deal with anymore. Because I did things after drinking that, you know, and most people, if you're watching this video, you can probably relate. I'm not unique. But I did a lot of things that I would never have done fully sober. So I'm so thankful for that. So I didn't become perfect, or I didn't become stress-free. My mind still is working, but it is definitely working more clear, and clarity is powerful. Okay, another surprise was other people, relationships. Now I could talk for a long time about this one, but I'll try to keep it short. You know, I was an alcoholic for about 25 years. So I was an alcoholic in marriage and also not in marriage after divorce, and so you know, dating and that type of thing. But also had, you know, friends. But I was really surprised when I got sober. Not talking relationship with a partner, but with friends. I was really surprised at how relationships were tied to alcohol. There's a group of guys that I hung out with a lot, specifically in my neighbors. And all the time, I had a pool table here, and we played poker religiously and played pool all the time, cornhole, barbecuing, fireworks, all that stuff. As soon as I got sober, all of them went away. All of them. I did not have to go find new friends. They all left me, it was tied. Those friendships were totally 100% tied to alcohol. 100%. And so, yeah, part of, you know, there's pillars to my recovery today, and relationships is part of that. You know, I depend on God today instead of myself. I work a simple plan of action that are sitting on the walls of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the third thing is I change the people I run with. And I promise you, if you're watching this, there's a community probably right down the street from you that is hardcore recovery. And all you got to do is join. And it's free to join. All you have to do is have a desire to stop drinking. And you have a community of people that are like-minded, that understand you and understand what you're thinking and understand your alcoholic mind, because they've all been there. They are there themselves. And they are there. This thing is big. The recovery and sobriety community is huge. It's worldwide. And I strongly suggest change the people you run with. Chances are your friends are going to run off on you too, just like they did me. But I'm going to tell you, I have this large group of a network of people right here in town that is just amazing to me. So the relationship thing, the people thing really changed. It surprised me when I got sober. All right, one last surprise before I end this up. Life didn't get easier just because you get sober, just because just because you're going to meetings, just because you're working with people. Doesn't mean life gets easier, but we do get stronger because we have a different power source now. And life didn't magically just get easier just because I stopped throwing vodka down my throat. And problems didn't disappear and stress didn't vanish. I was 6 months sober, and I'd really done some damage. I had a very, very strong career up to this point, and I had done some serious damage, and it all come crashing down all around me. And about 6 months into being sober, it's embarrassing. My car got repoed at the AA meeting in the parking lot. Can't make that shit up, man. At the AA meeting. Oh, not only that, he didn't just come get the car. He just conveniently waited till the meeting was letting out, and there was 50 people walking out right there into the parking lot, and he's jacking up my car. That was humbling. And I only had 6 months sobriety, but anyway, I called somebody to come get me, and I kind of laughed all the way home. I laughed because it was a peaceful. I was like, oh well. I had been really putting in some time in recovery for 6 months, and it was daily, and maybe that was just enough to help me through that. So life happened. I mean, I live a totally different life today, 2.5 years later, but man, life happens. Another thing about life happening, a year and a few months, my stepson, who I helped raise from the time he was about 14 to, and so he's not really my son, but I mean, I treated him like one, raised him till he was over 20. He had a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol and jail. And about a year ago, he overdosed. He got clean for a long time. Got a job, and was getting his life together, and met a girl and relapsed. And died on fentanyl. So that was hard. So this isn't about escaping life. What I was trying to do by drinking all the time, I was trying to numb and escape. I don't need to escape today because I have a connection to a higher power. I have a connection to God. And so I am able to learn to live with things as they come, good or bad or ugly. And that made all the difference in the world. So if you're newly sober or you're thinking about it, just remember that a lot of people think that sobriety, you're giving everything up for one thing, but it's just actually doing the opposite. You're getting everything back by giving up one thing. And you're really getting yourself back, and that's really the biggest takeaway of them all. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I have made a commitment to do more of these, and so hang in there. Please leave some comments. Tell me about your journey. I'd love to hear it. We need each other, And I strongly believe that. So talk to you next time.